Michelle Hoffmann on today, and we are going to dive in to relationship topics. But before we do, Michelle, can you give the audience your background and kind of how you got to where you are today?
Thank you for having me, Christina. I am so excited to be here. I just got off the phone with a client, and I am so fortunate to have this kind of phone call on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that she has found her forever love. And she was so far from that. When we met, she was just sad, depressed, lonely, alone, on the heels of heartbreak. She was just through a really difficult divorce, and she really didn't think she would ever find the right love for her. And so I'm super psyched right now because I just got off the phone with her and she has told me that they're ring shopping.
Wow, that's exciting. Wait, so are you also like you're not a matchmaker, you just kind of help people, map out like what they're looking for type of things. When should someone reach out for a relationship coach? Should it be?
So yeah, I can answer your question. I'm not a matchmaker at this time, although everybody seems to think that I am and wants me to be. But here's the thing. The matchmakers actually utilize my services because we want to make sure that you're attracting the right person and that you can trust yourself in intimate relationships and that you know how to navigate obstacles and challenges in relationships, to know when there's red flag deal breakers, when to distance yourself from a situation or a person or a relationship. And relationships could be a relationship with yourself, your body, your relationship with money, your partner, your family, your kids, your parents, your relationship with commuting, your relationship with working, clients, colleagues, all of that. So it's all about relationshiping. And all relationships follow the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to committed. When is it a clear signal to reach out to somebody like me? When you are not in the relationship that you want to be in, that's the signal to reach out to somebody like me to say, something is not right, or I really see everyone else walking on the beach hand in hand, having a great time. How come I don't have that and I can't seem to find it? So those are the signals. If you've been sad or depressed or feeling alone or lonely, or you feel like you're picking the wrong ones all the time, or you just don't know how to get, like you keep repeating the same negative relationship pattern, those are clear signals to reach out to someone like me, because it's very easy for me to see what is out of alignment in a relationship, or if you're not in a relationship. For example, if you're on the heels of heartbreak, if you're widowed or widower like myself, unfortunately, or if you've never found your right person, then maybe you don't have the right role models. And then what happens is people send out the wrong message of, who are they interested in? Like if you're, imagine this, you're alone on a deserted island, and maybe it's an amazing island. And a lot of us feel alone and lonely on a lost island somewhere, where even if we're surrounded by people and it's busy, at some point we feel very like in our own solitude. And we want somebody who we can trust to have our back, to share life celebrations and challenges with.
Vulnerabilities.
Right. Somebody to wake up with, go to sleep with, so that you don't die alone. And so you're on your deserted island and you're like, I'd really love to share this amazing island with someone, picking the coconuts and going fishing and dancing in the sand. And so you have this great idea and you put a message in a bottle and you throw the bottle out. That's your message that you're sending out, right? And lo and behold, to your delight and glee, I don't know if people use glee in a sentence often, there's a bottle washed up on your shore. And you open it up and you look at the message and you're like, this is not what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And this is somebody like somebody who you've attracted, or you've sent the message out and they've sent a message back to you, and they don't seem to understand who you are. They can't read your mind, and they think it's all about them, and then they're blaming you for why they're not in a perfect situation. And so you feel like you're not enough or you're not lovable. This is what's happening in the
Mm-hmm.
world.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
I mean, I feel
because
like
we
I can relate. Like, I feel it's kind of like something that I just currently, went through. I don't want to like drag anyone under the bus, but it's hard when you're in a
are,
situation like that and you can't really flourish and, feel that you can be vulnerable, and let that out. So,
and
exactly.
be safe in your vulnerability, and
Exactly. Yeah.
somebody who make decisions with your best interest in mind, the way you would make them for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you would make decisions for and go out of your way for.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the people who come to me, who want the right person in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so amazing. So you were asking, how did I become a relationship coach?
Yeah.
I did not see this coming at all, to be honest with you. I was a portfolio manager. I was an executive in a medical publishing company for 11, 12 years. I worked as a social scientist at Stanford University. And all of my life, all I wanted was to be in an amazing partnership
Mm-hmm.
with someone who, was my dream person. And we found each other. And, people ask, do you believe in love at first sight? I say, I do.
Yeah.
Easier to find who you're looking for when you have an idea of who you're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just like the needle in the haystack. If you didn't know what a needle looked like, how would you find it in the haystack?
Right.
We met, we very quickly bonded. He knew I was the one for him by the end of that dinner. It took me a little bit longer. It was later that evening at a disco. Do they still call it that? And he was brave enough to kiss me. And I did what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. I laughed. And he was brazen enough to go, well, what's so funny? And I said, my whole life has changed. My life was going down the track this way, and now it's going toward you. And that's what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So we enjoyed being together. We built a life together. We built a family together. We built a home together. And it was pretty perfect until he died.
Wow.
And then that left me head of household, sole parent, and you guessed it, single.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. And there's a grieving process that happens. It seems obvious when you lose someone, that grieving process, everyone assumes that will happen. But even if you're on the heels of a breakup of any kind, whether it's a divorce or anything,
Mm-hmm.
there's a grieving process because you're grieving the relationship you thought you should have had,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, totally. I experienced that a lot. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's real.
It's real. I mean, like, yeah, I experienced that a lot. I mean, and I think a lot of women, suffer that, even if it's something that like they knew was like the right decision to do, like you still grieve, you know. Yeah,
And you've got
in
all of
many
this
forms.
energy. Yeah, you've got all this energy and love you want to give, but there's no outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So too often we put it in the wrong place. And that's where things go awry. And those are all of the dating stories that I'm sure any of your listeners and every one of your listeners have, that they're like, you are not going to believe this.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the things that are like, we're not going to believe it because it wasn't a match. Free them up with all dignity and courtesy to go find their right person, and free yourself up to find your right person.
Mm-hmm.
So really, that's what this is about. And in my story, during the lockdown, I had started dating, and and here it is, the COVID lockdown, and we were on these happy hour calls.
Mm-hmm.
And people on the call were like, how are you doing so well dating when you can't meet anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I've learned to live within the constraints life has to give. And they said, well, look who we're attracting. And they put up their phones with these people. I'm like, oh, do not go out with that guy. He's going to chop you up before he's done. Right?
Exactly right. I know. I opened up the Bumble app the other day just to see. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I just can't. I turned it off. Like, I'm just not ready to like date. But I just was like, you do have those thoughts. Like, this guy is like a little scary.
And I'm like, what does your profile say that this is who you're attracting? And they all looked at me, and I said, would you like me to help you with that? Every single person on the call went, yes. And I'm like, oh, what did I just agree to do? And my integrity is high. I do what I say I'm going to do. So that was a Friday night. By Saturday afternoon, I had an entire coaching arc completed. And I said, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to help you with your profiles, because just like, I mean, it's easier to understand when you're looking for a job, you put together a resume,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to figure out who are you in the world, and what are your skills that kind of are the intersection of your passion, your skill set, and something somebody will pay you for. And then which organization would you like to represent, and which role in that organization? And your resume is going to be a snapshot to make that match. Got it?
Got it.
Well, your online profile is very similar to that, because first I help people understand their personal profile. Who are you really at this point in your life? And what do you want for the rest of your life? I call that the lifeline of your relationship arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then what are your values? Because you make all of your decisions based on your core value system. And third, this is the biggest mistake people make in the dating world. Ready? Then family, faith, fitness, finance, fun, physical, intellect, culture, those kinds of things. But people choose that first and they just hope the rest aligns. Like, no, that's third tier. So not only did I help everyone update their profiles, and oh my God, do you want to hear what some of these said?
What?
I kick out cockroaches. I'm like, really? You have 1/10 of a second to make a good impression? And this is like one of the coolest girls, ladies around. I'm like, is this what you really want to represent yourself as? Or there's common mistakes, such as, I like to travel, eat good food, and drink wine, right?
Yeah.
What kind of travel do you like to do? Where do you like to eat? What do you like to eat? And what kind of wine? So in this case, she's a high-level executive. She travels the world on her business account. She stays at the finest hotels. She dines at Michelin star restaurants and thinks nothing of spending $450 on a bottle of wine at dinner on a Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Would it surprise you, Christina, that there were gentlemen interested in her, but they were very upset with her when she would order an expensive drink? Because
Yeah.
that's not where they were at. So
Mm-hmm.
we adjusted her profile and her online profile to reflect her values and what she likes more.
Mm-hmm.
So now her profile says something along the lines of, when I read the wine list, I'm transported to the heated vineyards of Bordeaux. Now, somebody who's interested in wines is going to be like, oh my God, I want to share a bottle of wine with this woman.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So really representing yourself accurately helps you send out the message of who you are, which then naturally attracts the right one to you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds so simple. So that's how I became a relationship coach, because I had put together some, like I think it's 8 conference calls doing all of this stuff. And what's the style? What vibe are you going to send out in your images? How are we going to do your online profile? Once you're interested in someone and there's a match, what's the cadence? How do you engage someone in conversation and find out what you really need to know? Because
Yeah.
do you really need to know if they prefer mountains or beaches? Is that the first thing you need to know
No, what
about
is the first
someone?
thing you need to know? Like, what do we say to these people when we do, like, there was a match. So what's the best way to start the conversation? Because, like, I don't know.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
it's going to be unique to each person, but
Mhm.
what you're going to want to know first, high tier, where are you at in life and what do you want for the rest of your life and what are your core values? So how do you get that information?
Mhm.
Open-ended questions. And there's like, so let's take you as an example.
Okay.
What kind of things do you value above all else?
Well, my family. I definitely value
Okay.
my family and my boys. And I value just like hopefully creating like great fun memories and trying to live like a happy life. Like that's like what I value, like easygoing and problems come and we can problem solve. I mean, I don't know, I'm pretty simple. I just want to be
Simple's
able,
not simple. Sorry.
you're right. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
never
just want it
simple.
to be easy. Right. It's not easy for it to be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you value family. So maybe a question for you, if this is what you value above all else, you could ask something like, how do you choose to enjoy holidays? Or how do you choose to, what do you love doing in your free time when you're not working?
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think a Great Wolf Lodge? How are your kids?
No, I love it. No, that's no, it's just like be creative with your segues. You know what I mean? And try to make it like fun and playful. So it doesn't sound like you can get that information subtly without being so upfront, like you said. Like, what's your 10-year plan? Like, where are you in life? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, whoa, 21 questions, too much, but just try to make it playful and fun, you
Well,
know?
that's it. You can have an interview, but nobody really wants to be interviewed. That makes everybody
Exactly.
nervous. It's boring. It's somebody's gonna clam up and be like, "When's my interview over? I don't want the job." Uh, you know, we could do all of that in an algorithm
Hmm.
if that's really the magic that you want to have happen.
Yeah.
But that's actually not what people want. We want the chemistry. We want the shared experience.
Hmm.
So if you're talking with someone, you might want to know how was your week? Did you have any challenges you were able to overcome? Because you want to be able to problem solve.
Hmm.
You want to know, how do they get through a challenge so that when you're their partner, you maintain your individuality and together you're a whole different unit as this partnership, and
Hmm.
that you're going to look out for each other, you're going to support each other, you're going to, stretch your strengths and strengthen your weaknesses for proper balance in that
Hmm.
relationship. Like two people standing on a boat, you want to get the balance going. And if there's a challenge that comes up, you're going to want to know their thought process of how do they do that.
Yeah. Do they explode? Like, do they get angry? Like, do they calm? Like, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Um,
you're throwing a birthday party for your friend. How are you going about it? What kind of things are you doing? It's like share the experience with them.
mhm. Yeah, no, that's good advice. Is there like a particular site that someone should be on, like more so than the other? Like, is Tinder something that someone should be on? Is it like a eHarmony thing? Like, what do you feel is like that has the best quality, like dating candidates?
So in reality, I mean, organic is the best way to meet somebody. If a
Hmm.
friend
Hmm.
is like, oh my God, I need to meet this person.
Yeah.
Uh, I consider the dating sites You're gonna laugh at me. I consider the dating sites a lot like junior high.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do date. I mean, I don't really do. I did the Bumble thing for like less than 24 hours. And I was like, I just like, it's not me, but
Okay.
it's the new thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a good thing. I'm a huge fan. But
Mm-hmm.
here's the deal. It is like junior high,
Mm-hmm.
and there's hormones raging, and there's like, remember how uncomfortable it was to go through this process in your life where it's like one arm is growing faster than the other, and you're like, huh, and people are making mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes too. And hopefully, we're going to learn from them. A lot like junior high,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
And then I would also compare it to walking in a big city, like a metropolitan city. You're not going to go and just like open up your shirt and go, who wants me? Nor are you going to well, if that's what you want, then you're sending the message that that's what you want. Then that's what you're going to attract. I would say that person probably needs self-confidence, but that's where I would work on with them, because they can feel so much more if they can connect in not just the physical way, but in all using all of your
Mhm.
senses and capabilities. I threw myself down that path.
We all do.
So
It's all learning. That's part of the mistakes, right?
that's it. So, but I mean, that's just it. I had a client. She's like, oh, this guy, he's so great, but how do I get him to pay attention to me? Should I throw sex at him? And I'm like, if that's the relationship that you want with him, then yes, throw sex at him. But no, I want a real boyfriend girlfriend relationship that will grow into a partnership and maybe we'll get married. And I said, and is the way you want to be communicating with him throwing sex at him? No. I said, you're going to have to keep upping the game on that to keep getting his attention back.
Mhm.
And I said, and that's probably not what you want to do in that case. So we adjusted the way she was communicating with him to connect in a real and meaningful way. It increased his respect for her. And then they were able to actually share experiences together that were meaningful, not only that hot, steamy romance moment, but now they have it all.
Yeah.
Um, but so let's say online dating is a lot like going into a big city. There's going to be all kinds of people. You're going to expect some people to try and, I don't know, pickpocket you or whatever. So you're not going to be quick to share your personal identifying information. If you actually are going out into the world, you're going to let someone know where you're at and who you're with. And you're going to meet in a public place and never get in a car with someone you've only met, that you don't know who they are.
Mhm.
So find that information out first. But while you're diving into the dating pool, realize most of the people in the dating pool, I'm not sure if you're familiar with attachment theory, most of the people in the dating pool are avoidant attachers. And these are people who, in growing up, there's nothing wrong or right with any of them. They're just the way that we've developed adaptive strategies to feel safe in our lives.
Mhm.
And an attacher is not comfortable being emotionally vulnerable. And
Yeah.
these people tend to be attractive and charismatic and interesting and so cool. But then, unless they feel safe enough in the relationship with a secure attachment style, they could break up with even the greatest opportunity of a partnership, because you've got these fireworks and then it'll fizzle when they feel like they need to distance themselves
Mhm.
to protect that vulnerability, as you were talking about earlier.
Mhm.
There's also anxious attachers, and those are people who will be like, what else can I do? What can I say? How can I be a giver for you to make you feel amazing? And anxious and avoidant attachers are fantastic together for a very short time. And
Mhm.
then the avoidant will say, you're not enough. Or the anxious attacher will say, no matter what I do or say, I'm not enough. I'm not making you who you want to be. So we're not in an even partnership in that boat that I was giving you the example of.
Mm-hmm.
And it will explode. So finding a secure attachment style for one of those two, or someone who can help you get closer to
Mm-hmm.
becoming a secure attacher is the right way to go. So now what I was saying was, when you're diving into the dating pool, most people are going to be avoidant attachers. Realize that and have fun with that. Go and increase your confidence and feel good about yourself and all of that stuff. Date, like, have fun dating. Dating should be a fun experience where you're going out and meeting people and trying new things and learning what makes people tick and what they're like. And
Mm-hmm.
then you start to go, I would like to know more about this person. And that's when you start to do the deep dive into a partnership with one person. If you're monogamous, I work with all kinds of people. And actually, the way you know that that's where you're going is as you're more interested in being a curious detective about this person than going back onto the dating sites.
Mm-hmm.
But so you just don't waste your time on the wrong people. Like I said, when I work with people, they have, a general idea
Mm-hmm.
of values and the life they want to share with someone once we've cleared that picture. And those are then the people who they're looking for. And then it's fun to go out on dates with people who are good opportunities
Mm-hmm.
because they're interested people.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a great time dating, and then somebody shows up and you go, wait, I need to know more about you.
Yeah. We got to think it's quality over quantity.
And what do you mean?
Like just like you're attracting more qualified candidates than just going out with a bunch of them and
Right.
hoping for the right thing, so you're going out with quality people for you and what you want versus quantity, just
Right.
not
Right.
having like a clear path direction, a great online resume for your dating. You got to think about all these things and create and creative, and kind of stand out to show your personality within the words of how you describe yourself. So
Yeah. And it is hard because sometimes you're like, well, who am I? And if
exactly, especially if you're going through a breakup or a loss of a spouse, you're just like your whole life changes. Like you can mold yourself into pretty much any person you want to be. It's like an opportunity to really sit with yourself. So
right. We just want to make sure that you understand who you genuinely are. So
mm-hmm.
you're attracting someone to genuine you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that when you really can be yourself in a relationship. But sometimes we aren't ourselves in a relationship because we're trying to be something we think they'll like. And you can't maintain that for any length of time. And then there's like, grr, and then you've heard it. They aren't who we thought they were. He wasn't
Yeah.
who we thought he was.
Yep.
Or he wasn't who he said was. Well, it could just be that he was trying to be who you wanted.
Exactly. Exactly. And vice versa, girls trying to be who the guy wants you to be. Exactly.
Right.
Well, Michelle, I have 4 questions I ask all my guests, and I can't wait to know what your answers are. And my first one to you is, who and what inspires you?
Well, now I would say my kids and my clients inspire me because it's so amazing when someone comes to me going, I'm not matchable. It's like a challenge. Like there's no way you could help me find my person. And and then I go, nope, I got you. I got you. Um, and that is really so inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a group, in addition to one-on-one coaching, I do these group sessions, and it's a place where they can be vulnerable, share their open heart, and know they're safe. And they can learn from one another because they've now started to see the journey that I watch, where I can say, here's where you're at. All right, you're getting closer. Oh, if this ain't it, I'm going to be surprised. But I can watch that developmental growth. And then they go click. or I'll be like, you're about to meet your person.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shazam, they do. It is really one of the most exciting things I've ever been trusted to do for
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's very gratifying. And I'm sure like you had a lot of fulfillment in like your previous careers that you've done. Like you had a very successful, kind of like corporate life type of thing. But this is probably way more fulfilling. And I could just see like you radiate excitement talking about it and passion. So I love that. And so my second question to you is, what is something you wished you knew when you were younger?
Um, what I wish I knew when I was younger is I think I did know it, and that it's going to be okay. Don't rush into the wrong thing, find the right thing. And my whole life, I've been developing this process because I've been watching as a I've been always a social scientist of
Mm-hmm.
how are people acting and behaving and what inspired those decisions that they've made.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could tell my younger self that there's actually a job for that, and you're gonna love it once you get there, um, I'd be psyched.
Yeah. I love it. And then so my third question is, what is something, no, what's the essential part of your daily routine? Excuse me.
The essential part of my daily routine only takes a moment. I mean, I wish I was saying, oh, I eat so clean and healthy, and I love to dance barefoot in the living room, which I do quite a bit. But in reality, when I wake up, before I open my eyes, I take a moment, I take 3 deep breaths, and I think about my intention for the day. And I feel like that puts me in the right frame of mind. And I feel sometimes like I steal that very short moment for 3 deep breaths. Because once I'm awake, things gotta, places to go. So I see people meet, things to do, blah, 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 get to enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
day. And I just pause right here. 3 deep breaths. What's my intention for the day?
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
Yeah. No, that can be really powerful. Just taking a moment for yourself. And my fourth question is the best advice you've ever received.
So I have books that answer this question, like so much material. I'm writing 3 books on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
One's almost ready to release. It's the Find Love Now series, Through the Art of Relationshiping. But I think the best advice that I ever actually received was my mom. I mean, there's so much.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to please everybody and I couldn't do it. And that left me very overwhelmed feeling, creating anxiety. And I was paralyzed because I couldn't do anything because I couldn't make a choice that would let some people down. And there was no right answer, too many
Mm-hmm.
conflicting answers. And my mom came over to me and she says, Michelle, I'm like, is she gonna help or not? Right? She goes, where are your Wonder Woman cuffs and shield? And I'm like, Mom, what does that mean? And she said, you can't please everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do what's right for you and your family. And then she proceeded to get me little matching bracelets so I could be like,
Cute. I love it.
yeah. So do what's right for you and your family. Follow your path in life because you can't live somebody else's life. You need to live
Mm-hmm.
yours.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of Not Your Mama's podcast. It was such an insightful conversation. I loved it. All of her links are down below in the show notes. Don't be shy. Go say hi.